is right. As we told you, the government has set up a committee to look at a new direct tax code. Joining us now exclusively here on CNBC TV 18 is Rajiv Memani, a member of that direct tax panel and also the country head of EY in India. Rajiv, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Congratulations. I think you're the only member from the private sector or representative from the private sector on this tax panel. To start with, let me ask you about the terms of reference. And, you know, several interesting aspects. Arbind Modi is back, and after saying that we don't need a new direct tax code, this government now going ahead and saying we do need one.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Shereen. I don't know what Arbind Modi or the government said earlier, but I've just seen the terms of reference which have been put out, and I think it's a good move because there are lots of changes that are happening in the tax legislation around the world. And secondly, the present Income Tax Act, I think the government wants to align it with not only what's best in the world, but most importantly, which is suited and aligned to the economic needs of the country. So I think it will be a good attempt to actually see how how one can have a more contemporary act and which not only promotes greater equity but also promotes greater ease of doing business. And to have someone like Arbind Modi chair it is great because I think he has been involved in a similar exercise earlier and is he was also part of the Insurance Committee and also an extremely knowledgeable person both in terms of policy, economic policy and tax.
You're absolutely right on that front, Rajiv. In fact, I'm just looking at, what Mr. Modi's argument was, and I'm talking about Arbind Modi here, on the need for a new DTC. And he did say that, in India, we've faced issues with exemptions, thereby avoidance, thereby the tax base hasn't expanded. He also spoke about the fact that, our rates have been relatively higher when you compare that to international standards. So, along some of those issues, given the current context, do you believe that there is going to be need to have a much more radical thinking, a much more radical approach?
I don't think I'll be in a position to comment on that, but I think definitely what I think is there is a need to, given all the changes that are happening with the advent of technology, with other technology infrastructure that the Income Tax Department has made, a number of legal cases that have come up, a lot of procedural simplifications, a lot of focus on ease of doing business. And as I said, much greater equity right around. I think that's what probably the focus would be. I think the government has laid down the policy in terms of what their view is vis-a-vis exemptions, vis-a-vis corporate tax rates. So I'm pretty sure that view will be consistent. I see no reason why that view will be changed. But I think much more it is the issue of making it simpler for the corporates of India, for an individual, for smaller businesses, for larger businesses. Its simplicity can be achieved, and the law has been prevalent for a long time. So I think it's high time that someone relooks at and sees if it can be changed more comprehensively.
If what I hear from you is that simplicity ought to be one of the key drivers while drafting this new code. I do remember that, when we did, when there was the consultation process that was on around the last time, there was a fair amount of resistance from corporate India on some specific recommendations. Do you believe that those lessons and those learnings from the past experience and that consultative process will be helpful now as you go about designing this new code?
Yeah, definitely. I think that it will be definitely helpful. And having said that, whenever this code comes out, I'm sure there will be issues, and all these things have to be done through an open consultative process so that all feedback is taken into account. And I think the quality of the committee and the experience of other committee members is also very rich. So hopefully, the other experiences, past experiences, what happened in the Issue Tax Committee, all those things will hopefully should be borne in mind.
6 months enough time?
I don't know. I just learned of it today, so I have no idea.
All right.
That is.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck, Rajiv Memani, and we will reconnect with you when we have more details on the committee's first meeting. Today, the decision has been taken and the announcement made by the government. Rajiv Memani, they're joining us on CNBC TV 18.